All right, good morning, everyone. It is Saturday morning. Thanks for joining us. We got two special guests on today. We got Ray and Jennifer. So, good morning.
Morning, everybody.
Good morning, Ray and Mark. How are you?
Yeah, hi. So,
Good.
Jennifer, Ray's been on before, so maybe use as your first live with me. And if anyone hasn't, we did do an interview a few weeks ago, so go check that out on my page, a full interview. But maybe quickly you can fill my audience in your kind of backstory and what you're working on.
Yeah, so what I specialize in is finding deals off market. I was an acquisition manager for many, many years, and then I have a virtual assistant agency of about 200 or so, plus or minus 10 virtual assistants who specialize in finding off market deals, both commercial and single family. And then also, I fund deals as well. I'm a hard money lending broker, and I'm also a commercial broker for 2 million and above for calm loan. And so, no matter what you're doing, if you need help finding or funding deals, that's what I do. Can't help with property management, rehab, or anything like that. But if you need help finding deals, especially high volume, that's what we do well.
Awesome. So you have your hand a lot in the real estate world, and this topic, kind of our main topic maybe today, is what you're kind of seeing out there. Liquidity issues, right? The market is hard for people to get capital right now. Insurance costs are going up, and we kind of touched real quickly before you hopped on. But what are you seeing out there for like people trying to find deals and stuff right now?
Yeah, so deals finally are much easier to find than they were in previous years. I don't know anyone who's having problems finding deals, which wasn't true a year ago. So what we had a year ago, as you all know, is we have perceived interest rate hikes. And even though the interest rate historically wasn't very high, that's what we were used to. That's how we were running our deals and doing our numbers. And so we saw the market. We had the lowest transactional volume in 2024 since like 1978, or I can't remember the exact year in the 1970s. And so what we had were high asset prices and then high perceived interest rates. And so nothing was moving. It was just really, we were kind of like this stalemate. And then this year, actually, I noticed kind of starting in October of 2024, asset prices finally started to fall in most markets because I have clients across the entire country, right? And so now we're seeing kind of like mushrooms, these markets pop where you can find deals. But the problem is, and this is a normal part of the real estate cycle, as most of us know, is now we have liquidity issues. It's very difficult to get the money that we need in order to do the loans. At least that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing even big players who are, trying to do $37 million deals in apartment complexes, and they're basically hitting up, everyone and their grandma for this liquidity for the down payments, and they're being doing big capital raises just for the down payment, and then kind of struggling to get that done. So a lot of folks are facing liquidity issues just to get the loans done. And a lot of people are saying, hey, will you take a bridge loan? Will you take a second? Do you know anyone who will take a second? And those are kind of relationship based deals. And even then you're gonna have to make that second position pretty sweet and you have to make the numbers work. And that's what I'm seeing.
So it sounds like you're like a problem solver, and you're gonna help people kind of figure out how to make things work. And I know Ray, how recently did you close on your Detroit one or your Michigan one? Was that fairly?
I think that was like 10 months ago.
Oh, okay. Was kind of getting capital for that or finding ways to cover the rehab and things like that an issue for you?
Well, for me, I had a lot of cash that I was able to get for the down payment, and then I use HELOCs. So for me, I just went to my local credit union over here in the Seattle market, BECU, and I pulled out 150K HELOC to kind of help fund a little bit of the rehab.
Nice. Yeah, I think the market. There's so much uncertainty out there right now, right? So I think like you're saying, like capital, finding ways to fund things is super difficult for a lot of people. Even so, especially like new investors, right? So like Jennifer, like if a new investor came to you, like what kind of advice or how would you kind of maybe help them work through something like that?
Yeah, so I would ask first what their exit strategy was. Are we buying for buy and hold? Are we doing fix and flip? Are we wholesaling, right? So all of those make a difference. If you're doing wholesaling, I know two really great transactional lenders now, Jeff Jahusky and Tom Olson. I don't get anything for sharing that. Those are just two people that I really believe in. So if you want to wholesale in states where you need that transactional lending, places where wholesaling is no longer legal or by assignment, that can be a good strategy for that. So that's how you can get funding for that if you're a beginner. And then for the buy and holds, I would say, the DSCRs are anywhere between, I see in between about, I don't know, 7.25 and 9.25 for A level credit folks. So people who are 740 and above. Depends on how fully underwritten do you want it. I mean, the more you pay for hard money, the less docs typically you have to do. And so sometimes that appeals to me depending on the time crunch, if the numbers work. And then if you're fixing and flipping, I think there's a little bit more risk there. Because as you know, I mean, the rental market in most markets is pretty steady. The demand is steady. That doesn't mean the prices are going to continue to go up. I just went to a dinner this past week with Mike Slotnick for the Tempo Fund, and he was showing pockets of all around the country of kind of what the rental market looks like. And most places, rent is not going up some crazy amount, but the demand is super, super strong. So there's less risk, I feel like, in that. Even though a lot of apartments are being built in some markets, which some people feel like that might compete for the single family, I haven't seen the data where it's enough to where you need to worry about the demand for single family rentals. So that's a pretty safe bet, right? And then for the fix and flipping, that's where I feel like we're seeing the most risk. I'm not sure if you guys would agree with that, but that's where you're seeing sometimes prices going down and property sitting for a little bit, but nothing crazy. I mean, I don't know of any markets where people are having to sell upside down because they fixed a property unless their scope of work was incorrect, or maybe they didn't run their numbers properly for the debt, and the interest they're paying on the debt. I use Rehab Valuator for that. Again, I don't get anything for that, but Rehab Valuator does a really great job of kind of calculating how much profit you're going to get, including the debt, including the scope of work and taxes and insurance, everything like that. And there's so many deals I passed on last year, Mark and Ray, that I wanted to flip, that I wanted to make the numbers work. And at the end of the day, they just didn't, thanks to Rehab Valuator. So for a beginner, I would say first off, assess your exit strategy, assess your money source. Is it going to be profitable versus the risk? How much money do you want to make? For example, with a flip, if I'm not making at least 10 grand a month, I'm not going to bother. Like, that's too much stress and liability. So if it's gonna be completed in 4 months, most likely sold, then I need to make 40K. Or what am I doing here? I may as well get a day job. You know what I mean? So make sure your numbers are where you want them to be. Don't just, this is my best advice to newbies. Don't just do a deal because you want to do a deal. Do a deal because the numbers 100% make sense on the most conservative basis.
Awesome information. So like Ray, I wouldn't say he's a newbie, but he did do his first out of state kind of rehab type project. So did you use any of those like type of tools to get like estimates on your budget or rehab values and things like that, Ray?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think the biggest thing for me was making sure when I closed on the deal that I got a deal that made sense, right? It being a subject to and a hybrid with seller finance, that kind of made that really possible in this high interest market. And I kind of agree with what Jennifer is saying, because with my business, PNW Visuals, I shoot for a lot of flippers, right? And over here in the Seattle market, we have flippers that I shoot for that are maybe doing 50 flips a year. And, they've definitely kind of slowed down a little bit and kind of maybe reassess, their evaluations, and maybe took a more conservative approach on what they're putting the houses up for.
All right, so quickly, I want to just say good morning to everyone tuning in. So we got Jason here, Flavio, we got Buzz Toon, who's in Hawaii, so he's also up early. We got Stay Winning Podcast from X tuning in, Andy in the Ohio market, and Sierra's tuning in. So thank you everyone for waking up early and joining us. And yeah, so I think another question I had too for you, Jennifer. So like Ray, who's also a business guy, he's an entrepreneur. He has his photo, video business. Do
It's great.
you also find capital or money for small businesses?
No, I do not. But what I do have is I have a section of my agency that calls businesses to offer them funds for their business, right? So some of my clients do that. Some of my cold calling, lead management, appointment setting clients do that. And I think I have maybe 5 where our job as an agency is to call on these businesses and say, hey, basically, do you need some extra capital, or do you need this business funded? Honestly, I don't understand the business too well. I just supply the people who do that for them, and I trust that they kind of have trained my people appropriately for what they need. I specialize in off-market real estate acquisitions. So sometimes people say, hey, Jen, can I have one of your VAs for this? And I choose the ones who are going to be most likely to be amenable to learning something new, people who are brighter, people who are a little bit maybe younger, a little bit more hungry. And I say, hey, I have this client who needs this. Can you help them with that? And so that's the closest I come to touching what you just asked.
Okay. Before we hopped on also, you were touching on like insurance, like what you're seeing out there. Insurance costs are going up for a lot of people.
Oh,
And this is not your recommendation. We're not giving people
yeah.
advice, but what are you, I guess, doing, or what are you seeing your clients doing out
Yeah,
there?
so because this is what I did personally. I haven't talked to my clients about this, although I probably should. I was noticing escrow accounts just going up and up and up. So, you get your annual audit done, and all of a sudden, my DSCR, my debt service coverage, is not so good. And so I was like, what can I do to bring this escrow down? So because I end up, paying out on claims anyways without them really bringing a lot of money to the table to try to make me whole, I said, you know what? They're not paying out on claims anyways, so let me just put that money in my own CapEx account and lower the coverage to the bare legal, like the bare minimum legally. So I just called and I said, hey, you know what? We need to bring this insurance price back down to reality. This is ridiculous, especially because you guys don't pay out. So what can you do for me in terms of how low can we get this premium per year? And that's what I did, and that brought my escrow back down. So that's really important to me. And I did have to pay some out of pocket because they said that I owed some sort of escrow deficit or whatever. I was like, it'd be nice if they would tell you that your insurance had gone up and there was some escrow deficit, because I had to bust out a 4-digit sum to catch up kind of that arrears and escrow, which I didn't even know existed. I mean, I would have taken care of it like that if I had known, but at least I knew. And so moving forward, what I've learned to do is on an annual basis, just tell your insurance carrier, hey, what's the lowest you can give me? Now that's not going to be good advice for some people. Maybe you live in a high fire, tornado, flood. I mean, that may be a horrible, horrible piece of advice for some people. But for me in Texas, we really don't face a lot of risk. I mean, maybe a tornado, maybe a tree would fall, no flooding. If there's a fire, I mean, you know this, Mark, better than anybody. There's no, I mean, if there's a fire in my properties, it's because someone started an internal fire. So we don't have to really face wildfires. And so caveat emptor, but it's been nice to kind of increase my DSCR by lowering my insurance costs in that way, because it's not like we're getting more coverage whenever there's a claim. So yeah, I think you have to have a claim and realize how much they don't give you before you can feel confident in my strategy.
No, I think that's a lot of great points. I think people are getting we talked about on some other lives where people just thought of insurance as kind of a straight line item before, but now people are getting very creative and starting to pay a lot more attention to how they can reduce those costs or get different benefits. And I think Ray, I don't know if you remember on the last live when Curtis was on, he was saying that investor that he kind of sat down with, right? That owner, he doesn't even have insurance right on his properties or something, right? That was kind of his vision or plan. So he has all these paid off properties, I believe, and he doesn't even have insurance on them. So that was kind of his strategy. But there is a question for you, Jen. Let's see. It's from Buzz Toon from Hawaii. So he says, after the lumberjack interview, could Jennifer talk about the experiences, stories so far of investors that have reached out?
Yeah, so I now have, thanks to the landlord, I call him Matt, and then some people are like, who? The lumberjack landlord. Because of Matt, I I have, I don't know, a few dozen new clients, which is great. And they come from this is what really fascinated me. They come from all different types of backgrounds. I've got one of them, shout out to Muhammad, who is a psychiatrist. I have people, I mean, like you think people with trucking businesses and people who are other kinds of doctors, people who are like you, Mark, they're firefighters. I mean, I can't even remember all the amazing backgrounds. And I thought, gosh, I really feel like real estate is the watering hole that no matter like the watering holes in Africa where every species shows up to drink the water. That's us in real estate. All different types of backgrounds now, you know, more than ever come to me thanks to Matt. Now, I will say that before Matt, it was all full-time real estate professionals. That's who knew me, that's who came to me. And so it is a little different having clients who have day jobs. First off, they're usually not as budget sensitive, big shock, because they have this for sure income. Not that I changed, I mean, my prices are the same. They just don't scrutinize me as much, or what's the word I'm looking for? They're more realistic in their expectations, where the full-time real estate professionals are so desperate they can't be realistic, if that makes sense. So all that being said, don't quit your day job unless you just really want to or can. And even then, it's a whole different animal. I mean, it's a whole different level of stress to quit your day job. I haven't had a day job in several years, and so I know what it's like to make money off of what you eat and what you kill. So Matt's group is especially loyal. They're like, man, he never recommends anybody, and the fact that he recommended you, I had to give you a shot. And so I thought, wow, this man is really real respected, because I've been on many other podcasts and never had that kind of flood. And to me, I just see Matt as a friend. I mean, yes, he was a client first, but over the months, I mean, we just really have a blast. I mean, we just laugh our butts off together constantly. We have so much fun. But it's nice that we can be serious in business too, and he knows that as much as I like to have fun, and I really do, I take my business deadly serious, because my business is you guys' business. I want to make sure you're getting deals and you're very profitable, and that's what makes me happy is making people rich. I want to make myself rich, and I want to make you guys rich too, but not just rich, but wealthy, and wealthy for generations.
Yeah, to that point, I think that speaks volume of Matt or Lumberjack. Like you said, I saw his live, and you were on it, and like you said, he doesn't usually have, I guess, people on his lives very often. So you being on there, I think it speaks volumes of you, and that's why I reached out to you also. And so hopefully, people saw our interview and they reached out to you from
Yes.
my side. But I'll piggyback off of Lumberjack. So anybody that reached out for you is also hopefully from my community. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think you're doing a lot of great stuff. I mean, think before we even hopped on, I was telling Ray about even like now, right? You've talked about on our interview, like the past few months have been a somewhat of a struggle for you. I think you just
Oh
posted,
yeah.
you just got out of your boot to your walking
Yeah,
boot too, right?
my cast boot. Ray, have you ever broken anything before?
No, fortunately,
Good.
I haven't.
Good. Well, yeah, I was 9 weeks and 5 days, but who's counting, in a cast boot, and my walking is still very limping. And like I tell Daryl, if you're limping, you may as well be pimping. So I've got this really awesome pimp cane, and people are like, "Jen, do you really need that?" I'm like, "I do, I do. I mean, you have to have something to go with it. You can't just be limping. That's sad, right?" So if you're going to be limping, you need to make it cool. And I can't think of any other way to do that other than this pretty sweet, cane. And so to go from a cast to a cane, I mean, it's pretty humbling. And I can't wait to. My favorite hobby is hiking, and so I've been forced to just go full workaholic to keep myself occupied, and that's okay, because I've built my business bigger than ever. But yeah, it has been a very difficult couple months, And then after I had my interview with you, Mark, my surrogate father passed away, and so that was, I mean, extremely difficult. Being waylaid by grief and have a broken ankle is like you're mentally broken, you're emotionally broken, your ankle's broken, and you're like, okay, what? Now this is some real life right here, and I will tell you, everything you go through makes you a better leader. And so that's the way I think of it, is that everything I go through is going to make me a better leader and put me in a position to help others, help my staff, help my colleagues, help my clients. And the more we go through, the more empowered we are, because the more we can help empower others.
Well, it's almost like you know Ray's story somewhat too, because Ray, we did an interview recently too, but Ray has gone through some struggles in life, and that was kind of his motivating factor of why he has this hustle in him, right? Ray, is that kind of what happened for you?
Yep. You know what I'm saying? When you have nothing to lean on except yourself, you become a different kind of breed of animal, you know what I'm saying? There is only forward. And yeah, that's the way I operate. I'm a lot like you, Jennifer. I haven't had a day job for almost a decade now. So
So you eat what you kill.
yeah.
Huh. If anybody else can they go check on Instagram? Somebody just posted that there's no volume there. I'm not sure, but
Hmm.
hmm. Okay. Oh, you know what?
I did want to ask Jennifer a question when you guys are ready.
Can you guys hear me still yet?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you, Mark.
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. I don't know if the audience can, though.
Okay. All right. I don't know, something's going on today. Okay. Well, anyways, Jason says, let's see the pimp cane.
I'll have to have someone bring. Let me put myself on mute while I holler for assistance here.
Okay.
I don't know where the mute button is, so let me just.
I can mute you if I have to.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Hey,
Uh,
Daryl.
oh, it's weird. Yeah, something on Instagram. It's my. If I turn the volume on Instagram today, I can hear it in the background on my headset. Shit, that's weird. Damn it. Oh well, technology, I guess. Hold on, is she back? Are you back, Jennifer?
I'm back.
Okay.
The cane is coming.
Okay, cool.
It has a spot right by the bed.
Yeah, I don't. So I don't know. As far as you, Ray, maybe when you started your business, was finding capital to get started. How'd you do that? Oh,
So that's it. And then I also wear kind of like old Victorian clothes as well, and the inspiration is the Dowager Countess and Downton Abbey, and so just you have to also dress a little fancy too. But yeah, this is it. People are like, is that also your weapon? I'm like, I mean, it could be, but that's not the intention. I also have a more functional old person walker too, with the four, like the four prongs and the handle that kind of goes in a question mark. So there's that one as well. So it depends if I'm have to go to a social event where I need to look a certain way, it's this one. But if I'm just doing a functional walk, then I'll use my more elderly approved cane, because this one will flip at the bottom. It doesn't have a rubber grip on it, so it'll take you right down to the ground, whereas the other one has one at the bottom. So sometimes the wounded healers are the best, right? I mean, we can't really heal others unless we've been wounded ourselves.
deep. You got some good sayings with you today. I like it. But Ray, sorry, I don't know if we as far as when you started your business, like how
Yeah,
did the liquidity and getting capital to start that?
I think I do. I did what most people do, right? They take their day job, they put a little nest egg to the side, they slowly transition, and that's what I did when I first started. Took me about 3 years to kind of transition from full time to part time to exiting my career, right? And yeah, that's kind of my move. For me, I got lucky and I started investing really early on, and that provided a lot of liquidity in that first home that I'd purchased. And but for me, I really didn't understand accessing that capital. I guess you could take that as a good and bad thing, because I just used my my business to kind of fund my deals. So once I had my 2 years in my business, I was able to start funding and buying more homes, and then I started realizing, hey, you know what, I can use some of the capital that I have in my homes to buy more real estate.
Yeah, I think once you start doing this, right, people just you start figuring out ways how to get capital or whatnot, right? So that's why people reach out to Jen, or like you're saying, Ray, you just start figuring it out, right? Either a HELOC or any type of way to get started. And I think that's the biggest thing, is just got to figure out how to get started, and then you just start figuring things out as we start progressing, right? So yeah, let's see what else. Do you guys anything else you guys want to dig into right now? I mean, is there more
Yeah.
liquidity stuff you want to talk
I,
about, or
I had a question for Jennifer, right? Jennifer, I would consider myself like still starting out in my investment journey. But like for you, right? You say you help clients, and I want to kind of better understand what it is that you would do for someone who's a smaller investor, right? So in your situation, it sounds like you find deals. I just recently closed a subject to seller finance deal, and let's say it sounds like you're all over the United States, right? So if I tell you a market and I say, hey, this is kind of what I'm looking for, what's that look like, right? Like, what is the commission on your side looks like? What kind of deals are you giving me? Are you giving me subject to deals? Are you giving me seller finance deals? Give me some insight a little bit on what it is that you're doing for people.
Great question, Ray. So what I do is I build up very simple processes so that when we help you find them, it's not like we're brokering, right? We help you find them. So what we do is I have a data and skip tracing company as well. So we pull the data and skip. So let's say you're like, hey, right now I have a lot of clients that have come to me and they want a pad switch. By the way, do you like my ringer? Anytime it's scam likely, it's hailed as a no. All right. So that being said, you saw that call came up a scam likely. We don't do that. So we use dialers. We use batch dialer, and again, I don't get anything for sharing that. Batch dialer automatically changes the phone number as soon as the carrier marks it as scam likely. Then batch dialer will change it to a fresh phone number. So we'll pull a list. So if you're looking for a pad split for, say, one of the clients that came to me from Matt was Jeffrey White, and Jeffrey is doing pad splits in Denver. And so what we do is we're looking for 5 to 6 bedroom properties in that area. And so we will pull a list based on that criteria. Or you can bring your own data and skip tracing, right? I mean, some people are really particular about their data. And then what we do is we call on that list. Or you can, if you already have a lead gen system going, let's say you already have PPC, TV, radio, side of a bus, whatever it is, we also lead manage as well. In fact, that's what we're really good at. So whatever your lead, either we can generate the leads for you via cold calling or however you want, text, etc., or you already have your leads and then you just plug us in. We do the lead management. And then our main value add is, as we lead manage, we're going to put those appointments of people who want to sell straight onto either your calendar or your acquisitions manager's calendar. So we're not just finding new deals, like we do all the work. I can give you the staff, the processes. I can even train you on how to do acquisitions, because I was an acquisitions manager myself for years and years. But I'm empowering you guys to find your own deals by building those processes. And I mean, it's relatively inexpensive. It's $13.50 an hour. Our minimum is 10 hours a week. And in that, we try to make it a 1, 2, 3 step on how to get started. One, hire your staff member. Boom. I picked my best one available for you, or you can choose if you're, someone who's particular and you want to talk to people. But most people just trust me. Like, okay, Jen, I trust this is your best one. And then you bring your CRM. We just need your CRM credentials in terms of what CRM you're using. If you don't have a CRM yet, or you don't know what one is, then we help you through that process. And then you need to get your dialer if you're having us do lead gen. And the reason why we don't provide a dialer in CRM is because, guess what? If we part ways, that's still mine. It's not your business. It's mine. I'm the one who paid for it. It's my dialer. All the call recordings are mine. And I'm in the business of empowering you guys. So I want you guys to have your own dialer so that you can listen to the call recordings. I want you guys to have your own CRM. Look, I have competitors that are pretty nefarious. They lock you guys in for like 3 to 6 months, and all the CRM and dialers there. So if you part ways, guess what? All your leads are theirs. I don't do that. I mean, I'm just straight 13.50 an hour, plug in our people. We do the work for you up until the appointment comes and it's time to go to the appointments with your potential sellers. So that's why we do what we do. We want you guys to be empowered. We want it to be your business, and we kind of instead of bringing you the fish, we teach you how to fish. Does that make sense? People want the fish caught for them. Pardon my language, you said I can be myself. Fuck that. Learn how to fish. Find your own deals. You know what I mean? So that's what we do on that side of the business.
So let me just kind of summarize that, just to make sure I understand, right? So
Yeah.
essentially, I would come to you, and instead of going in and having my own wholesalers kind of calling an area, you'd kind of essentially help me create my own systems and
Yes,
dial and target a market,
that's
and
right.
then you would use your team to essentially cold call these individuals. Is this correct?
Yes, if you want them cold called, that's what we'll do. And again, some people right now they're like, "Oh, cold calling's dead." Look, it's not dead. It's less dead than ever because nobody's doing it right now. The main thing everyone's doing is PPC and mailers. And so, but look, I'm not here to tell you what kind of marketing strategy works best. That's up to you guys. But what we do is no matter what your marketing strategy is, I can help you get there. I have PPC affiliates, I have mailer affiliates. Those I do have affiliates for. Everything else I've mentioned so far, I do not. I get you set up with my best people, and then we do the lead management for you no matter what your lead intake is. Now, I prefer for new people cold calling because the cost per lead is lower. Now, I'm not saying the cost per deal is lower. Actually, I don't mind being honest and saying that your cost per deal is lower with PPC. You can quote me on that. I sell cold calling, but your cost per deal is going to be lower on PPC. However, your cost per opportunity is way lower as a cold calling. So for new people who need to get those reps in, you probably don't want to cut your teeth on PPC. You're going to go broke quick. But if you already have your reps in and you're a good closer, yeah, go ahead and do your inbound leads. So that's my honest analysis on those between the two inbound and outbound marketing strategies.
Can I ask you this?
Yeah.
Yeah, what is the, like, for me, like, to create your own system and learn all those applications, because these are things I've definitely looked into, right? You know, after doing one subject too, it made me realize, holy crap, this is how we play in a high interest market, right?
Especially for long-term buy and holds.
Issue is finding these new. Did I get disconnected by back?
You're good. Yeah.
Okay. I was just saying that, like, one of the biggest struggles is, finding these low interest rates where people are willing to do subject to. And right, you're going to have to do that by numbers. You're going to have to reach out to a lot of people and trying to create your own systems. I'm curious, how long does it take to onboard somebody brand new who, is trying to get into your system and get a lead generation going, like, quickly?
2 days. 2 days.
Oh, wow.
Because we keep it very simple. Number one, hire your people who already know what the heck they're doing. All my people have been doing this for at least 6 years. They have to come to me with 3 years experience, and then I put them in front of my own marketing dollars before I put them in front of your marketing dollars. So I used to have my own wholesaling company, and whenever I did, I would put them in front of my own marketing dollars before I'd put them in front of your marketing dollars in the agency. But as my agency got bigger, I kind of had to let the wholesaling go a little bit by the wayside. Plus, I had a heart attack in May of 2023, and my heart doctor's like, "Look, there's no pill to lower your stress, Jennifer. There's no pill to make you go to bed on time at night. You have to take care of that. You didn't have a heart attack because of high blood pressure or clogged." He's like, "Your arteries are as clear as a newborn. You did this to yourself with stress." I'm like, "I thought I was having fun running all these businesses." Well, apparently my body was not. So I had to let wholesaling go, but I did do it for a long time. And so in doing that, um, yeah, so I would put my people. So my people, they know what they're doing, right? They know what they're doing, and so you don't have to worry about that. You just you just put them on the go. You tell them what to do, and they do it. So that part's taken care of. The second one is, like I said, you bring your dialer. Just get your batch dialer if you're having us do cold calling. If you're having us just do lead follow up, like say you already have a bunch of leads, then we just need some kind of dialer. I don't care if it's Ring Central, dial pad, smartphone. There's some call rail. That was always my favorite one. No matter what it is, just bring us a dialer, bring us a CRM. We do the rest, right? So we can get a new person up and going in 2 days, and it's 2 days if we need to pull a list, because sometimes that can take 2 business days because we have so many orders that we're doing. We do all of our orders in house, and so it can take up to 2 business days, especially if they're LLCs. We need to skip trace, and then
And
you're
then,
good. You're off to the races.
And then question for the dialer, right? Like, I assume that your representatives are using, let's say I get a dialer, they're using my dialer, and then am I able to kind of, I don't know, listen to some of the
Of course.
recordings and see what's, see what's kind of going on, and see if there's things maybe we could change to make these leads maybe close a lot better. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. We encourage that. Those are the people who are successful, which is why I want you to bring your own dialer so that you can actually have full ownership of your business. Listen to those calls, tweak the scripts how you like. I mean, they already come knowing what to do, but that doesn't mean that they know exactly how to tweak things to your market or your vision or your business plan or your corporate culture, right? We want to be fluid in that way. So we bring 90%, you bring the other 10 if you want to, or we can bring the full 100%. But most investors have a few things that they want us to do specifically. For example, you mentioned subject to, seller finance. We do have a script for that. We call them installment payments, right? So we don't use seller finance. We're not going to bring up the IRS code that it's under, although you should, as my mentor, Leon Johnson taught me, you should always keep that IRS publication printed out and in your car so that you can show the sellers, that this is a very legal process that the IRS allows us to do, and just have them read it. So just keep them printed out in your car if you're going to be doing those acquisitions in person. I can't, if it's as an IRS publication 531, I should know. I can't remember. I can't remember if it's 531 or 513. But either way, have that printed out and just talk to them about installment sales, or we can send it to them in an email. So if we're doing acquisitions for you in a seller finance capacity, then we can email them that and then go over it with them together. Don't just send it to them and then expect them to read it. They're going to get overwhelmed. They're going to think it's scammy. Say, hey, we've got this IRS publication 531 that shows you how the installment sales work from a tax code basis that can really help you avoid capital gains taxes. And they're like, well, you're kind of old, or some of my clients are kind of old and they're like, how are you going to be making payments? And I'm kind of old. And we're both old. We're both in our 70s or 80s or whatever, or 60s. How do I know you're going to continue making payments? What if you die? It's like, well, then my kids are going to be making payments to your kids. Right. And so that's kind of some of the objections that we get are some of the older folks are like, well, I'm not going to be around. Well, wouldn't it be nice if your kids thought of you whenever they got that check every month? Every time they get that check, they're going to think about you. So we have tons of objection busters on things like that. So we're happy to tweak things to whatever type of campaign or capacity or property that you're looking for.
Can I just add this, right? Like, for someone like me as a new investor, these are things that I looked into, right? Me being Filipino, I'm saying my motherland has a lot of these amazing English
Yes.
speaking remote workers, right? Me
Right.
being a business owner, I understand the power of using international as a way to kind of enhance your business, right? So definitely, the one thing I can say is this, Jennifer, is like, just listening to you, just having a system where you're actually teaching people, and you're putting your team, and I don't got to go gather and find all these talented people who already understand the market. I definitely think a system like yours is it's going to be a lot faster. So yeah, definitely something that's interesting, and has piqued my interest for sure.
Well, Ray, thank you so much for all the insightful and intelligent questions that allow me to kind of display what I know. Most people, we don't even know what questions to ask sometimes. And without people asking us the right questions, it can be difficult to communicate what we really know and do. So thank you for that opportunity.
Yeah, no problem.
That's why I brought Ray on today. So I try to mesh the guests well together,
Oh, well
yeah,
done.
so that's why I brought Ray on. But I think like we're going back to Lumberjack, right? Like I think that's why you were on his live, and he has speaks highly of you. So that just a testament to what you're doing out there, and like what Ray said, right? Like it piqued his interest, and you have a great breakdown of what your business is and how it can help people, right? So a lot of amazing
If you
things.
learn how to fish, you will never have to worry about money again. Ever since I learned how to close deals, and my main mentor for that was Jerry Green. And again, I don't get anything for mentioning his name, but I couldn't close over the phone to save my life until I worked with Jerry Green. I mean, I was a really good cold caller, really good lead manager, but I just couldn't quite manage to get people to, sign the purchase and sale agreements over the phone. And I'd cry myself to sleep going, God, I just suck. I'm always going to be broke. This is horrible. And I paid $1,600 for Jerry Green's course before he bought John Martinez, company. And he taught me how to close over the phone. And I have to tell you, I have not worried about money since. So if you learn what we do and you do it for yourself and you find your own deals, you're your own MLS, basically, as Matt said, as the lumberjack landlord said, you never have to worry about money again. I'm not saying I've been rich since I learned, because I've definitely had, last year was a tough year. It was just a tough, low volume transactional year. But even still, I didn't have to go back and get a day job. I spent 4 months on the road with my family traveling through the national park. So if that's a rough year, cry me a river. I was traveling because it was a slow year. And I thought, well, why would I want to work 4 times as hard just to make 1/4 of what I was making before? Screw it. Let's just hit the road. Yeah. So
I didn't want. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't want to interrupt you.
No, please go ahead.
Jennifer, like the investor side of me is really questioning. It's like, why? Like, aren't you a little like? Are you feeling like you're leaving things off the table with you teaching other investors how to fish and you not helping them close it and kind of wholesaling it, right? Because it sounds like you have a little bit of wholesale background. So here you are, you're teaching us, hey, go grab your own deals, use my use my people to go call them. And now they could close the subject to, they can close a seller finance deal, and you're out of the picture. I guess just in my question is like, don't you feel like you're leaving money off the table? Just out of
I used to, and then I had my heart attack, and I realized that there's only so much money that I can spend and make. I would say my income goals are much higher than the average person, but they're often less than my clients. And so one time I was sitting on my couch and I was like, have I made any difference in anybody's life? And so if you have a heart attack, you're going to realize what's really important in life. Number one, I realized that you should never tell a lie, because anytime you lie, you're not connecting with others. And that's what we're here to do. The other thing I realized is that I should have been nice to people who couldn't do anything for me. I was so ambitious and driven. I just kind of ignored people who couldn't do anything for me. And then I wasn't spending enough time with my kids. And then as I would, like, my heart rate was going so high and I felt like I was going to die any second, my pastor had come over and he was like kind of giving me these last rites, like these blessings. And I'm like laid out on the porch waiting for, the ambulance to come or whatever. And it was bad. I was like, I'm going to die any second. That's what my body was telling me, is we're going to die any second. Those were my regrets. So I learned that making a difference in other people's lives is what we're actually here to do. And I make enough money doing this to where I no longer have FOMO. Yes, my clients often I have one client who wholesales apartments who makes $100K a month. I don't make $100K a month. And so I look at that and I'm like, oh man, maybe I should wholesale apartments. And look, that guy's definitely making a difference for others. He does a lot for charity. But I enjoy this because I have a particular talent for talking to sellers over the phone and closing. And I know that in some ways, maybe it is playing it small in a way, but I really feel like I'm making a difference. And that cannot be understated when it comes to the end of your life. Now, people may not realize this till they get to their 80s, or maybe it's the last thing they think about as they get hit, head on. And not to give you PTSD, Mark, but I'm sure there are many times you showed up to a scene as a firefighter and someone had been liquefied. Did they even give you a chance? Did it even give you a chance to have those regrets? But the dear Lord gave me that chance to see that what we're really here to do on this earth is to make a difference. This is how I choose to make a difference. I could be, volunteering in a homeless shelter and take a vow of poverty. I don't want to go that far. I don't want to take a vow of poverty. I don't want to go live in some mission somewhere and scrub toilets and ask for alms for the poor. But there's a happy medium for me, and that's it. I know people who were really brilliant who became teachers, who taught kids with Down syndrome because they want to make a difference. So whatever it is for you that really makes you feel like you make a difference, I really encourage you to embrace that, because at the end of your life, what I wasn't thinking about as I thought I was going to die. I wasn't thinking about how I should have hooked up with more dudes. I wasn't thinking about, should I have more race cars? Because I had a Corvette at the time. I wasn't thinking about, oh man, I should have gone to the mall and bought more stuff. I wasn't even thinking about, oh man, I should have been on more luxurious vacations. You think you'd be thinking about experiences like that, but it wasn't. It was, did I make a difference? Did I connect? Did I really actually care about people? And that's my honest answer. And that may change. Who knows? Maybe I'll have a great need. Maybe Daryl will get cancer and health insurance sucks, so I need a couple million instead of going Breaking Bad. I need to go wholesaling apartments. Remember how in Breaking Bad, the whole reason he got into it was because of his cancer treatment. So anything can happen. So I'm glad to have that skill set. I know that I could go and wholesale apartments. I know that I could go and flip 50 properties per year, because anything anyone else can do, you can do too. And this isn't brain science. This isn't like brain surgery. It's not rocket science. All you need is basic arithmetic, management skills, and you can do anything in real estate. It's like, do you have fourth grade math? Yes. Are you able to communicate with others and organize your day? Yes. Okay, guess what? You can do anything in real estate. Congratulations.
I want to kind of piggyback on that a little bit, right? I think a lot of entrepreneurs, real estate investors, I feel like, we're a lot of the same, right? If you're doing real estate investing, in a sense, you have your own business, right? So yes. I think the biggest thing is, what is enough, right? And kind of like what you were saying, like, we've gone through both of our experiences and we have wisdom now, right? And for me in my business, how big do I want to grow? That was always a question, right? And I think you really got to find your why and what it is that you want. Because I'm a lot like you. Like, I want to travel and I want to kind of screw around. Building this humongo team, you're gonna have to build the infrastructure for it. How many years of your life are you willing to spend to go do that? For me, I'm 36. I want to be retired probably close to like early 40s. You know what I'm saying? So
yes,
I think me understanding my why and other people finding their why, whether you're doing your own business or real estate investing, you don't want to FOMO into other people's goals and ideas and say, hey, I want 1,000 units. I want $100,000 a month, right? Find your number and kind of stick to that. Don't get lost.
Well said. And as Tom Kroll said, once you hit your financial goals, if you feel like you need to keep making money, you don't have a money problem, you have a spiritual problem.
All right, hold on. Let's get to some of these questions real quick. So Sierra, thanks for stopping by. She does agree. She says, great questions, Ray. So KC is tuning in, and I let him know that you were from Matt's channel. They're asking for the links. So the links to Matt's interview or live with Jen is in the chat, and also her interview on my channel is in the chat. Curtis, I guess he's not tackling boys right now, but he couldn't make it on today. He has football practice or coaching, but he has a question. He says, where have you seen investors mess up using your system?
Now, this is pretty funny. So they spend all this money and then they don't even go to the appointments that we set for them. And I get it. Look, a bird in the hand's better than two in the bush. And sometimes they have a bird in the hand. They have their day job, they have some property they're trying to close. And then a month or two will go by and they're like, hey, I need to quit using your services because I don't know how to say this. I literally haven't been to any of your appointments. I said, hey, you know what? That happens. Whenever I was wholesaling, sometimes I would make my own appointments and I wouldn't show up either. Because again, I had a bird in the hand. I was really busy, speaking at one particular time and going around the country. And so they'd set these appointments and just, I wouldn't even show up. And so that's what I see is you have to make the time commitment of, however many appointments you get per day. I mean, it could be anywhere from, 2 hours a day, which is pretty good in terms of opportunities, to 2 hours a week, depending on your market and how many hours a week you hire us for. Because, I mean, there is obviously a direct correlation between how many hours you hire us for and how many deals we're going to be able to get through and how many people we're going to be able to talk to. And so I would say, if you buy it, use it. And there's no point in doing lead generation if you're not going to do lead follow-up. Now, we do the nasty part of the follow-up, the boring part, the mundane part. But the part where I need investors to do the follow-up are for people who are actually closable, that are ready to sell. That's it. Just do the follow-up for that small percentage of folks that are ready to go, and you'll be good to go. But some people, they either don't feel confident on the phone, they overanalyze, they have analysis paralysis, and they're like drowning. They're drowning in knowledge. They're drowning in a lack of experience, and they're just flailing and they're not taking action. And you just have to put in the reps, because 10% of action is better than 100% intention. So just show up. And look, it's so hard to show up to that first time to someone's property. Like, in Texas, I've got my license to carry, so I've like got my 38 because I don't know what's going to go down in this person's house. I don't know what I'm stepping into. There's, usually, in Texas we have these giant cockroaches, and so it's like every house I buy, my shoes are sticky from some sort of animal urine, so it's like dead cockroaches, mice, turds. You name it. Look, it's disgusting and it's not fun, but this is where the money is. So just be ready for that level of discomfort as you go and you purchase these properties at a discount. If it wasn't disgusting, it wouldn't be at a discount. If the person wasn't a difficult person to deal with, then they'd be putting it on the market. So when you're buying properties at a discount, you're going to be dealing with difficult people, distressed people, dysfunctional people. Distress, dysfunction, disease. This is difficult. The properties are dilapidated and just straight up disgusting. First off, don't ever go into a property without an N95 mask if the sellers aren't home. Now, if the sellers are there, I try to show more respect, and I bring my children in them, which is sometimes I've really regretted. One time I went into one and there was this vicious Rottweiler, and I thought I was going to get bit. I think I was this close to getting bit. So don't do what I did and bring your children. But if you do, maybe bring your pimp cane so you can, just give a dog a little whack if you need to. And I love dogs, but they don't love you if you're coming into their house. So be ready for moments like that. And I think people are scared of stuff like that. But that's just part of it, guys. That, or you can have someone do it for you. But either way, someone has to go into these properties and do the uncomfortable work. So I think people avoid that unconsciously. Subconsciously, they avoid the difficult work and they don't take action on the appointments that we set for them.
And I'll add to this, okay? Like me being, before I got into my business, I was in sales for 10 years of my life, and it was hardcore commission-based sales, right? And unless you were in that kind of environment, I think most people are going to feel uncomfortable, right? I've been denied in one day literally hundreds of times, and in not such a nice way. You know what I mean?
Oh,
and
yeah.
if you add that to 10 years, the kind of skin that I have is probably a lot tougher than what most people would have.
Yeah.
And exactly what you said, Jennifer, right? You can gain all these leads, you could build all these things for them, but if they can't sit at the kitchen table with these individuals and have the hard conversations, they're not going to be able to close the deal, right? No matter how many you throw at them, they have to understand how to close it. And my question is, Jennifer, you have experience. Is this something that you're able to help these individuals and maybe find ways of like, hey, I've never really done this. I don't come from tons of sales background. Like, what resources do you have for these individuals to close these deals? Because I would assume most investors don't have that experience. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. That's exactly the hazard that they face whenever they do engage me. And so I do offer acquisitions coaching if they ask. Most people don't ask. I don't know if it's ego or what, but they're like, no, I'm good. And then they're not good. They don't succeed. But I have a lot of free content on, yeah. How are you doing, Jared? Great to see you. So Jared can maybe speak to what that experience has been like, onboarding and the process and what that looks like. And so I do offer acquisitions training for people who want it. I also have a lot of free content out there. I don't really have an active YouTube channel. I should. I've talked to Matt about it, and he's like, Jen, you really need to do that. And I do, but I just have to make the time, which is difficult because you guys are awesome and keep me super busy with clients, and I want to make sure that I'm on it. And with that, so Jim Ingersoll has had me on quite a bit. He's had me speak at his events. So if you look at YouTube, Jennifer Stewart Cold Calling or Jennifer Stewart Real Estate, and especially if you do a search for Jim Ingersoll next to that, Jim Ingersoll has really, from the beginning, made sure that I put that kind of acquisitions content out there. So if you look up Jennifer Stewart Real Estate, Jim Ingersoll, or Jennifer Stewart Cold Calling, Jim Ingersoll, you're going to see me really kind of put out some of my best and most valuable content for kind of getting people through that. And again, I don't get anything for that because that's on his channel, so I don't get any I don't get any revenue for that. But I wouldn't be where I am today without Jim. So I'm always thrilled to be able to, you know, throw his name out there. He's an amazing person. If you guys know Jim Ingersoll, but so there's a lot of free content. But if you want one-on-one acquisitions training, what I do is, first off, we have 2 textbook weeks. So I do 10 hours spread out over 10 weeks. The first 2 weeks are textbook because you do need to have some theory, scripts, and the psychology behind why we say what we say. You need to understand. You can't just go in. Well, you can, but you'll do better if you understand why we say what we say. So, for example, if I'm talking to you, Ray, and I have an inexperienced VA, and they're like, "Yes, hello, Mr. Ray, how are you today? Yes, is this your primary residence?" Like, that's just so cringe and so creepy. I'm like, why do they want to tell a stranger over the phone if it's their primary residence? So instead, you need to be more casual. "Hey, Ray, yeah, just want to see, man, is this a rental for you?" See the difference? It's like, no, this isn't a rental. Well, if it's not a rental, what is it? So instead of asking, "Is this your primary residence?" we just say, "Hey, is this a rental for you?" Right? Because it's the same question in a much less creepy way that doesn't turn them off. And so it's training on little points like that and why. Or if you're asking for a price, you don't just say, "So what do you want for the property?" Well, what they're going to say to that is, "You called me. What's your price? You called me." So you want them to have that reverse kind of reactionary psychology where instead I'd say, "Hey, Mark, I know you have a pretty decent portfolio. There's no way you'd by chance know what you'd want for this property, would you?" So by kind of, you know, making them like affirm to the negative, "Well, actually, I do know what I want," right? And then when you're talking to landlords, to say, "Hey, I know you have pretty decent portfolio. Do you have, I don't know, maybe 1, 2, or 3 properties out of your portfolio that, gosh, or maybe just a little out of the way, or maybe underperforming a little bit for you, that you wouldn't mind redeploying that capital for if you could get it off your hands?" And at first, look, all landlords are super defensive. They're like, "No, everything's great. All my tenants are great and everything's great. And you guys can just, you know, go screw off. Quit being, you know, I'm not going to sell anything to you." Say, "Oh, okay, awesome. So it sounds like you're doing a great job with your property management, and I'd love to learn from you because, man, you know I've had some property management challenges. Sounds like all your tenants are paying on time and everything's good." And then they're like, "Well, actually, you know, I do have this one property where they're not paying on time." Boom, then you're in the game, right? So you really have to get past people's defenses, which does require some experience in psychology. Now, anyone can do it. It just takes those reps, and sometimes those reps are expensive because these are leads that you're paying for. Now, if you want to get in reps for free, go to Craigslist. I mean, this is old school, but when I started, it was Pacific Northwest in the Seattle market, like what you're talking about with this guy. I can't remember, his name was Dave. I can't remember his last name right now. And he just had me calling on Craigslist. So that's how I got in my reps. I was calling on FSBOs on Craigslist. Now, I didn't find one deal at the time, but because even then, Seattle was pretty inflated. It was a really high price market, very difficult to get a good cash on cash return there, even 9 years ago. And so what we would do is, if you want free reps, start calling FSBOs on Craigslist or whatever, right? But if you want, like, FSBOs are kind of hard to close because here's what FSBOs do. They just think they're giving you a discount because they're going to sell at retail price minus realtors fees. Well, that doesn't help us as investors. So that's what you're going to run into. That's the wall you're going to bang your head against with these FSBOs on Craigslist, but it's still good practice. And so then after those 2 weeks of textbook, we have 8 weeks of, you know, I'm listening to your calls. So any calls that you've done, just record them. We can do them in the session. We can do live calls together. I make calls. We can do them, like I'll get on the phone with your leads and we can talk what that looks like. And then you get on. And so, you know, so I'm really big on role play and live calls because that's where the money's done. It's not done in the textbooks. It's not done in these long courses that we're part of, or even the real estate seminars. That's where you meet the right people. But where the rubber hits the road is in actually doing it. So I'm really big on getting past theory and into activity together, you know, rolling up our sleeves and digging these ditches together.
I want to add this because I think I have a really cool perspective on this. Okay. Like, you know, as a wholesaler, you're giving these calls. For somebody who has a business where I capture real estate, where I'm probably shooting some of the expired listings that some of these wholesalers are calling, right? I get a unique insight in getting the real story that most wholesalers can't get. You know what I'm saying? And because when I come there as a photographer, there is no defense. There is no there's no guard up, right? So I come there and I say, "Hey, tell me a little bit about your property, Why are you selling your property?" And me coming from a sales background and also being a real estate investor, I try to understand and gauge my market and see what's going on. But also, there's been plenty of times where I'm a real estate photographer and then I turn my hat and I buy their house. So so for me, these are cool situations. And the one thing I can give any advice who's listening is this: when you're cold calling people, understand that a lot of these people, you can relate to them, right? Because you've bought homes, you've sold homes. You understand the struggles that they're gonna have. Some people, it might be, man, I got all this junk and I don't know what to do with it. I don't want to deal with it. And that alone could be one of your selling factors to close the deal, right? So I think the biggest thing, me being a salesperson, me understanding and listening to homeowners and everything, just listen. You know what I'm saying? Stop talking too much. Just ask the questions and listen to these individuals, understand their problems, and stop trying to, maybe overthink the process, right? Um, for me, when I'm talking to these homeowners, it's really like, hey, I just got a divorce. It's an uncomfortable situation. Understand that when you're calling these individuals, that might be the case. And if you're insensitive, of course you're going to get a phone hung up on you, right? And so, just I think that's the approach that you need to look at. And obviously, Jennifer, I'm sure that you'd be able to kind of train these individuals who's reaching out to you and kind of talk about these situations.
Oh, your audio. I can't hear you right now, Jen.
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
It could be that my mic needed to be charged. I'm glad you told me that. So just like you said, Ray, and whenever you use a dialer to call, like let's say you're doing your follow-up, you need a single line dialer like CallRail, smartphone, RingCentral, etc. CallRail for sure has a feature that shows you how much you were talking versus how much they were talking. Now, this is a cool metric, and I'm sure many of you already know this, but anytime I spoke more than 50% of the call, never closed that deal. I never closed it. And we learned that the ratios in which we closed the deal, we were speaking 30% of the time or less. So it really comes down to asking extremely calculated and, as you say, kind of empathetic, listening type questions. Like, gosh, how long's this been going on for you? Or if you were to sell, what would that look like for you? I mean, what would it be like if you didn't have to drive all the way across town to check on that rental anymore? Or what would it be like if you sold this probate property and now you've got this money in your pocket and you're not having to, deal with your brother that you don't really like? And so it comes down, but also it takes the seller has to be willing to speak to. I mean, sometimes you get people who just stonewall you and then you feel like, oh my gosh, I have to do the talking. But here's what I've learned to combat that. So if they're not talking and just say, sounds like maybe I'm not getting a lot out of you, which I totally understand. You don't know me, but maybe this isn't maybe you're not really feeling this. And then you get them talking, right? Sounds like you're not really feeling me, or you're really not feeling the process. And then just go completely silent. And then that'll get them talking. Like, hey, if you're not feeling me, I get it. I'm not for everybody. And what's funny is I've shown these contracts to people and try to get them to sign. And I'm like, I notice you don't really feel comfortable going forward. Is it me, the contract, or price? Which one is it? The contract, or price? No one's ever said it was me. And that can't be true. So people are really uncomfortable if you try to confront them on, hey, do you just not like me? Because sometimes you're going to look like someone who maybe jumped them in an alleyway, or an uncle that molested them, or whatever. I'm not trying to be silly, but I mean, it's true. Like, you don't know what baggage people are bringing that they associate with you. Could be your gender, could be your accent or lack of. I mean, who knows, right? And so you just have to say, hey, is it me, the contract, or price? And that's going to kind of get them talking. And so that's what you have to do, guys, to Ray's point. You have to get them talking or you're not closing. If you're talking, you're not closing. When they're talking, you're definitely a lot closer to closing.
Casey messaged me on the side, but he's wondering, it's like Vegas, is that a market that you help a lot of people in?
I was working the Vegas market in 2018 and have not since. I haven't had a lot of people come to me for Vegas since 2018. I'm not sure what's going on in that market out there. So I'd love to hear. I have driven through there a couple of times on my road trips in the last year, and it certainly isn't wanting for traffic. I mean, it was packed, but I don't know what the market looks like, and I would be happy to explore, a cold calling campaign out there, or do lead management. I can't imagine, that Vegas is a dying market because I see people checking in there all the time, on Facebook and stuff. So I think it'd be worth at least checking out. And then if you already live in that market, I'd ask, are you looking to wholesale there? Are you looking to do rentals there? What's the exit strategy, and then how many deals per year or per quarter are you looking to do, and then kind of build a strategy from there backwards.
And then, like you said, Jared, sounds like Jared signed up with you. I know he had,
Yeah, he did.
he had a call with you. And then Flavio says, when I walk through those houses, I smell money.
The ones with the urine stick and
Yeah.
making your shoe sticky on the bottom.
You should. Oh,
no, go ahead.
I was just saying you should see what my eyes see when I'm over here shooting the house and it's a for sale by owner, and I'm like, how much you putting this up for? And then and then it's always cool because I can ask all the goofy questions that all these wholesalers want to know, right? And for me, I'm like, so do you have a crackhead outside that's like that's your neighbor? And they'll straight tell me. You know what I'm saying?
Genius, man. That is super genius.
And it is so awesome because I get the kind of insight that every buyer wants, right? And so I've been able to dodge deals and I've been able to pick them up if I see them. So it's been fun.
Brilliant.
Mike, thanks for tuning in. I'm not sure who this is, but please subscribe and like. But he says, President Trump making America great again. Yes.
Did you see the footage last night of that Mike kind of brushing him in the face?
Oh, yeah.
His reaction was hilarious.
Yeah, he's entertaining, I have to admit. Jared also says, Pace Morby comes right out and says, I might not be the right buyer for you fairly early on in the conversation, depending on how far down the rabbit hole he gets. And Jared also says, Ray is a real estate investor spy.
Yeah, he is. It's brilliant.
Yeah. So, we've been about a little over an hour. I have time, so it's up to you. If you folks have to bounce, you can always bounce. Just let me know.
I'm chill.
Yeah, this was fun. Anything else you guys want to dig into? What about this YouTube channel? What's holding you up, Jen? I mean, what?
Time. I have, as Jared will probably tell you, if he's put anything on WhatsApp since Thursday, I haven't been on there. I had back-to-back appointments outside of the house. And so by the time I catch up with all of my great agency clients, and then I have my calm loan business, and I have 2 loans I need to put in that I need to finish putting in. And then I have some, like licensing training that I have to do, CE. And so, I mean, it just goes on and on and on because I run such a high volume business. And I noticed, by the way, that's true of most practitioners who are not always, I know matt's an exception, but usually the people who are doing a lot of business are not really big on social media, for example. Now, I'm not saying that's always true, but I am definitely one of those people to where, yes, I post a lot on Facebook, but I also program that out on Sundays so that I don't have to spend my time during the week doing that. So I just spend a Sunday evenings. I come up with a lot of content in my head because, I always have a ton of stuff going on in my brain, unfortunately. And then I just bang out a week's worth of content just based on kind of what's in my head. And I program it so that it's just going out all week. But other than that, I don't have really a big social media presence because I'm so busy working. And I met this guy at this fun dinner on Tuesday. He's got hundreds of rentals. He's in Collective Genius. And we have like 4 mutual friends. I'm like, how do you have such a big portfolio and be such a prolific wholesaler? And we only have 4 mutual friends. Well, I'll tell you why, because he's actually busy doing the work. And so I don't know when I would make the time. I am building my team bigger at Calm Loan, and I'm sending more loans to my team versus doing it myself. So that helps a little bit. But really, Mark, it's a time thing. And then also I have some imposter syndrome. I'm not going to lie. I have some self-doubts. I'm like, who is going to watch me? And I don't want the embarrassment or the flop of not getting any subs. Because, my kids judge on that stuff. Like, ha ha, mom, you only have 9 subs. Like, I could start a YouTube today on playing this video game and have like 100 subs in one day. I'm like, that's true. Video games do tend to have more of a ubiquitous appeal and have a lower barrier. Like, there's a lower barrier to entry for playing video games than there is talking about doing off-market real estate, which is kind of an outside the matrix activity. And how many people are outside the matrix? How many people want to do that? I mean, you know this, Mark. Like, I meet so many firefighters because of the affiliation that we've discussed in previous things. And a lot of them do have really cool things going on the side, but a lot of them don't do jack shit with themselves.
Hey! Don't be feeding my audience any more ammo against me.
And so, most people, they don't want to exit the matrix. They don't see the value. And I think you have to have a different kind of perspective. And so I figure, how many people really want to talk about all the ways that I exit the matrix? Also, I'm scared of making myself a target, because I do sometimes some pretty cool stuff that if most people knew what I was doing, it would make me a freaking target. Like, really? You just homeschool from anywhere in the world, and all you need is a router, and it's like the Texas public homeschool option? Well, I'm not sure. I don't think I'm supposed to be doing that. Like, I asked the Texas public homeschool, like, oh no, you're supposed to be in Texas. Well, none of the kids turn their cameras on anyway, so I could be in Bangkok or Bali or anywhere, and they don't care. The teachers, I mean, they care, but they don't want to know. It's kind of like don't ask, don't tell. So if I go posting like, yeah, my kids are in the Texas public homeschool and we're just wherever in the world, and then one asshole wants to make an example out of me, and then my brilliant, beautiful lifestyle is over. So there's also that fear too. So I'm open to you guys' feedback on kind of getting over these irrational fears of becoming a target. I mean, those are the options. Either you're completely obscure and you get no subs, or you do become something big, and then all of a sudden your life is under the fucking microscope with the IRS, with your audience and stuff. I kind of like keeping it under the radar a little bit. So I'd love to hear your perspective, Mark. Like, what made you want to
This
build a
is the gen
platform?
I've been waiting for like 60 minutes to come out on. So I've been waiting for this gen to come out. But no, yeah, I really kind of just started more for like Zuber and Dion's kind of blueprint. Where Zuber he retired early and he kind of was depressed, where he didn't have much to do, and that's kind of why he just started connecting with different like-minded people on YouTube, and that's kind of how he built his channel. So it's more about building his community. And then Dion's more was also too, because a lot of times when he would talk with people, it was like he'd have to be sharing the same story over and over again. So like now it's kind of, if someone does want to connect, it's easier for me to say, hey, just go check out my channel first, and you can kind of get a backstory or kind of know what my mindset is. And then that way, when we actually sit down and talk, it's kind of, we can kind of hit the ground running instead of having to go over like the same old, I got to tell the same story of why I started and this and that. So that's more of what it is. But then it also just turned into more of just having fun like this, like just building a community and having people come on willing to just share their stories and what they're doing, and have no filter and just say whatever they feel and whatnot. But I'm surprised about, like you said, your Facebook, how you have it planned from Sunday, because a lot of times I see the things you post and it's more like, to me, I would think it's like spur of the moment, like it's a lot of these deep
Sometimes.
thought. Okay.
So now the deep thought stuff comes to me like in rapid fire. Like, everyone's like, "Oh, Jen, you got to try shrooms, blah blah blah." I'm like, "No, no, 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 no." My brain is already where most people get to whenever they're on shrooms. Okay. I do not want to take shrooms. I don't care how cool it is to hike on shrooms. I love to hike. I don't want to hike on shrooms. And so, yeah, living on the road with your kids, I mean, it is great. I mean, it is a slog. There's a lot of logistical I mean, you can only imagine we're trying to keep kids healthy, mentally, physically, spiritually, socialized. So, we don't stay on the road indefinitely. We do have a homestead here in Texas. We do come home because we feel like kids need, at least maybe I'm just projecting, I need a home. I need a place to come home to with children. But if I didn't have children, I probably could live on the road indefinitely, truck stop to truck stop. Now, I probably wouldn't look this well preserved. I would probably be looking pretty rough because it is a rough way to live. After my trips, I need a pedicure. I need my hair done. I need my teeth whitened. I need all kinds of facials and moisturizers. I mean, there's a reason why homeless people look rough. So just for, if nothing else, the extent of my appearance, I need to come home and go back into my stasis chamber so that I can continue to look young for my age. So I'm told. And but yeah, no, it's great. It's really great. And the longest we've been able to do it's like 3-4 months. And then by the time we come home, like we're in pretty rough shape. I had a foot infection last time I came home. My feet were almost rotting off from all the hiking, and I'd have to stop, and the skin would just slough right off and it would ooze. I mean, it was absolutely disgusting. And I'm telling you that because I want you to know there is a dark side to living on the road, and that is it's very difficult to have self-care. But kind of back to what we were saying before was I honestly can't remember. So you guys will have to take me back because that pop-up came up and then I forgot, which is again a function of my age, which
I want to add.
Guesses.
I want to add kind of like to what you were saying because I have a lot of the same issues, Jennifer, and it's even worse because I'm over here creating content for clients, right? So for me, I have a lot of the same things. Like when you're dealing with financial YouTube, right? You have a lot of very educated audiences, right? Like and varying in skill levels, you know?
True.
So you can literally look so different to each one of these people who are watching you. You're just like, dude, why are you even on YouTube? You know what I mean? Like you're not even at the scale that you need to be. You're no Grant Cardone or whatever, right? And I think that's the part where I kind of fall into as well. But like, noticing that I coming on to Mark's lives that we do have, each one of us have like our skill sets, and
That's
there's
right.
different levels of people in their journey to their financial success, right? And I don't know about you guys, but sometimes you're not at a point in your life where you're ready to receive information, and sometimes another person's perspective who might be equally relatable to you, um, it- that message comes across better. And that's what I'm starting to feel is like maybe with the imposter syndrome that I'm feeling, maybe I just need to realize that there's going to be somebody out there who was in the similar position that I was in, who can more resonate with my story than a Grant Cardone or a Pace Morby, or you know what I mean. And but then also it's your time, right? We're business owners, right? Is that time gonna be well spent, and is that time going to be valuable to me as far as my life goals? And I think those are the kind of issues I run into. It's like, do I want to dedicate this time to it? But also it is fun, like you said, once you're in your journey where you're in a place of abundance, where you get to live life in such a way and maneuver in such a way, the natural thing to do is give back. And that is just the natural thing when you've made it, right? And that's where I feel I am in my business. And I've always, I have a lot of people reach out to me. It's like, hey, I'd love to kind of learn from you. And I don't charge for that. It's just actually so much fun, and it's so rewarding to do it. And I just don't know if I'm there in my real estate journey just yet. And that's why maybe I'm holding off, but I'm also feeling like maybe I'm losing some connections that I could have that could be equally as fun and something I'd enjoy.
Well, I think if anything, everyone's going to do a takeaway today that they all need to become real estate photographers so that everyone's defenses are down. It's kind of like a man going into the women's bathroom. The defenses are down. That happened to me the other day. I came out, and I'm in the bathroom, and I do physical therapy at this place where a lot of old people go to the gym. It's like the old person's. It's like a senior gym combined with physical therapy, which is perfect. And God bless this poor old man. He couldn't see. He was confused. And I come out of the bathroom and I'm doing the things that one does in the bathroom. Okay. My defenses are down. And I come out and there's this elderly gentleman, and he's like, "Oh, ma'am, you're in the men's room." I'm like, "Well, respectfully, sir, I think that we're in the women's room." And so that's kind of how I see this photography aspect, is like, it's a man in the like their defenses are down because they feel like they're in this safe space. And I think that's genius. And then plus it probably gives you a little bit of cash too. Like, that is a brilliant insight that I can't wait to share with others and give you credit for, and hopefully not create any too much competition for you. What market are you in, by the way, Ray? Where are you doing these photography at, so that I don't tell any of my clients who are in your market?
No, I'm in the Pierce County, Seattle
Oh,
area.
I don't have any clients out there, I think, because it's a little tough to, at least I don't think so. I have a lot right now, thank God. But that's a tough market. So the fact that you're killing it in that tough of a market is really, really impressive, Ray. And you told me, you said, people are doing 50 flips a
Yeah.
year out there in the Seattle market.
Yeah.
That blows my mind. Just even getting the contractors alone out there, like, how do they even find? Because here in Texas, we have a huge, like 50% of our population is Latino, and you throw a rock and you can find a good contractor. That is one good thing about Texas. Whenever I spend time in Northern California, it's weird to see all these, Jesus looking guys, like the stereotypical Jesus. So you've seen Jesus work on the roof out there, because it's all these, Caucasian guys with their long flowing hair and a beard, and and you're like, that's weird. You don't see that in Texas. And I kind of got the same impression in Seattle too, that it's not as easy to find these contractor workforces. So how are they finding all these contractors to do 50 flips
So
a year?
we have multiples. Like one of the people I work with, he owns over 900 units. So I'm not going to mention any names here, but he partners with a lot of other flippers, and he's got his whole teams that he does 50% with. But long story short, they all specialize. We have people that specialize in mobile homes, and where they'll tear down a home and put new mobiles in them.
Very cool.
You have people that'll do ground up builds, right? And for me, I've been doing this long enough that I've just been able to connect with the real players in my market. And yeah, that's how I've connected.
That's really impressive.
Well, so Ray, where can people reach out to you though? Or where can they connect with you if they want to?
You can find me on PNW PNWVIS on Instagram, or you can find me on my website if you need to reach out. I shoot, luxury real estate, drone, 3D tours, virtual tours, whatever you need.
And Jen, where can people connect with you if they want to get a hold of you?
Yeah, so there's two ways. You can either email me at Jen, Jen, at REI, like real estate investing. So Jen at REI, excuse me, just a second. Probably it might be better to do the Facebook. So facebook.com/elite deal finder is a good way. And then, like I said, back to the email, Jen at reidatasource.net. So Jen at reidatasource.net or facebook.com/elite deal finder. And between those two, because, if you think about it, Facebook is really just kind of a drip campaign. I mean, nobody ever says that, but it is. It's like a drip campaign that we kind of all opt into, where we just are able to see each other kind of all the time.
Yeah, and if not, go to both of their videos on my channel. In the descriptions, we'll have all their links, and you can connect with them that way also. But this was fun. I mean, anything else you guys want to dig into? I mean, yeah, go ahead, man.
One question. I got one because I do a lot of, I plan to do a lot more RV road tripping this year.
Awesome.
And Jennifer, it sounds like you've been on the road a lot.
Yeah.
Is there somewhere near the Pacific Northwest that you would say is a go-to place that you'd say I should visit?
So there are two places. Number one, it's no secret that I love the redwood forest. So I would say go to Crescent City, California, because you can be at the beach, and then you can be in the redwood forest in 15 minutes. And I mean, these trees are as big around as cars, and the way, just the way it smells, and you just feel like, okay, this is our primordial home where we probably belong. And then the other one is there's a little town, just a tiny little town in Oregon called Prospect, Oregon. In this little town near Crater Lake, there are the most beautiful, quaint, like fairy-like or just as paradise waterfalls. So Oregon has a lot of beautiful waterfalls. And so I would say go to Prospect, Oregon, and go out to eat at this little place called Becky's. The pie there is so good. And look, obviously you can look at me. I'm not someone who eats a lot of pie. I have a very strict diet, ridiculously strict. No wheat carbs whatsoever, no refined sugar. And I am willing to drive all the way from Texas back to that Prospect, Oregon, just to eat the pie at Becky's. And then they have, I mean, when's the last time you were excited about being served a bean soup? I mean, it was like eating at grandma's. It was this just the soup of the day was like pinto beans, and it was so freaking good. And so yeah, stay in Prospect, Oregon, and then drive 3 hours south down to Crescent City. And if you don't feel like a different person after that, you can call me and say, Jen, that was a huge, but I think you're going to go, oh my gosh, why do I live anywhere else? Because that's how I feel. And then then I go to the gas station, and there's, you can't go to the bathroom. You have to beg someone for a key. And whenever you do, it's filthy. There's a lot of drug addicts. So that's the problem with these areas, is the poverty, the governance, you can't get an insurance policy if you try to buy a property. So I've had to back out a couple of properties there. So it's crazy. The government really sucks there. It's ruining the most beautiful place, in my opinion, in the world. So you have to it's kind of like really hot water. You got to dip your toe in and then get out, because it's not a place where I could sustain a living. But again, if I didn't have children, I'd say screw it. I'd live in a van on the beach. Yeah, the Oregon coast. Oh, so stunning. And that's what Crescent City looks like, the Oregon coast. That's where it really starts to get beautiful. That Oregon coast is breathtaking. And then you'll see a lot of sea lions there too. They're just sitting out there barking, or seals. I can't remember which one it is, but it's amazing. And the elk in Crescent City, go to the Elk Valley Casino, and you'll see herds of elk. Just, you're getting gas, and elk are just hanging out, completely unafraid of people. And it's like heaven out there. It really is. It's like heaven on earth. I can't wait to heal this ankle and go back. So
no,
Well,
I'll definitely check out and eat that pie, and I'll take a selfie and tag you in it. All right.
oh, that'll be fantastic. Yeah,
I also want to give Josh a quick shout out. He does have a YouTube channel, Rumble Seat Riders. So go check it out. Go subscribe. But Josh, yeah, he went to the year 1 ORAD event, wasn't able to make it to year 2. So hopefully he'll be there at year 3. But yeah, this was a fun one. This was a lot of great information. Hopefully, Jen, you'll be able to, or willing to come back on again. Hope you had fun.
I would love to. Thank you for
Yeah,
this opportunity.
no, this was a good one. It's a good combination. I think Ray did a great job
Yeah, he did.
asking a lot of great questions. So yeah, anything else? Any final words that we can wrap things up, or
No, just it was nice meeting you, Jennifer.
It's nice
I'll connect
meeting
with
you, Ray.
you. Do you have an Instagram?
I just have a personal one that Mark would probably be a fan of. It's not one that's going to be a big RO. It's a lot of selfies and me flexing and muscle photos for my fitness.
wait. Why was I thrown into? I'd like this one.
Because Mark, you're one of the few people who's like, Jen, I like your unfiltered side. Where everyone else is like,
Okay,
can
that
you
is
take
true.
it down just a hair? Can you take it down a lot and just showcase your more professional side? But yeah, so I have an Instagram, which is a lot of just self-indulgent selfies. In terms of a business Instagram, I do have one, but I haven't used it in a long time. I'm really heavy on Facebook. I probably need to spread out a little bit, but I just, Facebook, I'm monetized now, so that's nice. So I'm incentivized to post and post well. And it's kind of nice to have that extra little income there
Oh,
on Facebook.
you know what? Then, if you have time, I do have one question, and it was
Yeah,
on one of your posts recently on Facebook.
yeah. Tell me.
And it kind of goes back to my little comment I made. People were asking for the link for your interview with Lumberjack, and I posted a link, but I also told them just watch the audio because they might be distracted by the video. But you did, but you did post on Facebook, I believe, recently something about I don't know if it was people attacking you for cleavage and
Oh, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And so my surrogate father had just passed away. And so I was really just not pulling any punches, something about grief. It'll bring out, you just have no, well, at least speaking for myself, I had no filter. And to the point my lawyer was telling me, "Hey, I need you to get off social media for a little while." he's like he's like, do yourself a favor and get off of social media. So I'm doing this photo where I'm wearing a sleeves right now, so you can't see it, and I'm like flexing from behind, and I mean my back almost looks like a man's back, okay, in terms of the musculature. And I said, you know what, you people are offended by my cleavage posts or my gym posts. I'm offended by your lack of fitness. I'm offended by the fact that you care that someone else looks good because you don't. If your wife is bothered by these photos, well, maybe she should fuck you more. Why is your wife worried about what my pictures look like? And by the way, I wouldn't touch you with a 10-foot pole. You know what I mean? So your wife needs to chill. I don't even know who she is. I don't know why she's telling you not to do business with me, because I'm here to get you deals. But yeah, I'm sharing my wins. I'm having fun. I'm sharing my life. I'm sharing all. By the way, I can write off my personal trainer if I'm a fitness influencer. So you have to make the fitness part of your business, part of your social media profile in order to write off your trainer. Well, as you know, he has a day job, and I want to incentivize him to keep me. I'm his last client because he doesn't really need the money anymore. He's got so many assets now. So, how am I going to make things interesting for him? I'm going to let him charge me as much as he wants to charge me. And so I'm going to write it off. Well, how do I write it off? I have to be a fitness influencer, basically. And so, yeah, I didn't pull any punches. I was sick of playing it small. I was sick of dancing around the egos of men who need to touch their wives more and wives who need to touch their husbands more. You know, I am never jealous of my old man that I've been with for 24 years. I have never felt jealous with him because I know that he's never going to find anyone as crazy. Like, if you like me, then you're not going to like anybody else. That's how I feel about it. So I've never really felt jealous. So I can't get into, like, I'll go to some friend's page and he's like, oh, I'm sorry, my wife made me unfriend you. Like, that, I can't relate to that. Like, that is so, like, are these people okay? I mean, do they live lives of silent desperation or what? Um, so yeah, I mean that's how I felt. My lawyer was like, "Hey, I know you're grieving right now. I'm gonna need you to dial it back. Go ahead and just get off social. Well, in fact, just take the week off, okay?" And I was like, "No, people are counting on me, but I'll think about reeling it back on my social media." But I had just played it small and sensitive, and just people be like, "Oh, your post makes me uncomfortable," and I used to be like, "I'm sorry, that's not what I intended." And I'm like, "Fuck you! Why are you such a pussy?" You know?
Well, like Andy said, tell us how you really feel, right?
I mean, do you guys ever feel that way in general about people, especially if they're on a different political spectrum view? It's like, F
Oh,
you, why
you're
people
not
are.
on X, I think, right? You're not
uh,
on Twitter X, right?
No, I should be, but again, it's like I only have so much time in the day.
Yeah.
Um,
That place is definitely. I mean, it's great information, but definitely very confrontational there.
well, I think the two things I avoid on my social being a business owner, especially living in Washington, you avoid politics and religion. Okay, those are anything else is pretty fair game. So I think you calling out their wives on, I think is fair game. Tear them up a new one.
and but it's also the dudes too. Like, hey, son, I don't need to see your cleavage. I'm like,
then keep scrolling, man. Like, what planet is it 1925 or is it 2025? You know what? I'll stop showing my cleavage when it gets wrinkly. That's when I'll stop showing it. Whenever it gets so wrinkled that people are like, all right, come on, grandma. You've obviously seen a lot of sun in your life. Nobody needs to see that. Then I'll stop showing it. But as long as it's still smooth and pretty, it's going to be out there. You know why? Because I get paid for it, because the algorithm awards. I can sit there and post about how great Jesus is. I can give you a step-by-step on how to create a 7-figure business in 3 years. It's going to get 3 likes. If I show a cleavage photo, it's like, boom, I see my stats go way up. It's like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, thousands of views. But like, I can post, oh, our baby's beautiful, world peace, peace in the Middle East. Negative view, like, my algorithm goes negative. So don't blame me. Don't hate the player, hate the game.
True.
I mean, I'm just exploiting the algorithm as it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, cleavage for clicks. I'm not above it.
Cleavage for clicks. All right, I should get a t-shirt or something, or a tank top or something.
That's the next podcast.
Yeah.
Financial.
Oh,
Right,
hey,
Mark?
yeah,
Well, Jim,
that
why
is.
don't you do OnlyFans? I was like, no, man, that is so. In order for people to know your message, first they have to see that you exist. So my only goal with that is for people to see that I exist. So come for the cleavage, stay for the cash, right? You're going to make a serious cash on cash return if you do what I tell you to do, right? But no, this is not some entree into an OnlyFans deal, okay? That is not my thing. I don't like to get paid for what I love to do, because that takes the fun. And I'm not turning my favorite thing into a business.
Oh, right. So there's your YouTube channel name. You found a YouTube channel name. Cleavage for clicks. Or
Oh, that's so good. That's actually so freaking good, bro.
And then I encourage the men too. If you've got a hairy chest with some pecs, squeeze them together. I guarantee you people will look. I mean, they might say, what the hell? But they're going to look. Have you ever seen Jack Nicholson and his man boobs? And you just you just crop the photo so all you see is Jack Nicholson's man boobs. Like, oh, what the heck? This is obscene. And then you do the next picture and it's like the full picture of Jack Nicholson. You're like, oh my God, that's worse than I thought.
Oh man! All right. Well,
That's what you wanted, Mark. I brought it.
No, like I said, yeah, I do. I've been trying to connect with Sophie Elaine. Also, I know you folks are on good connection on Facebook, and I know that might be a good unfiltered one. Also,
oh yeah, please do, because like she's like legit. She's become my best female friend, and we are together.
Well, you help me out and get her on
dangerous.
then. You help me get her on and tell her how much fun you had, and then we can have a cleavage for clicks live.
No, she's not like me. She's not like that. I mean, she's an unfiltered. She's like, I don't see how. She's like, I can't handle all the DMs. She's like, I don't show that stuff because, I just get so bombarded by the DMs. I'm like, believe it or not, I don't get DMs. Nobody comes and hits on me from those photos. Like zero. And she's like, well, why? I said, I don't know. Probably because people are scared off, because that combination of business and that is just so like, this like your equilibrium. It throws their equilibrium off. Like, that doesn't make sense. And so no, I mean, I never get hit on almost online ever. In person, I do. In fact, I had 4 dudes in their 20s just this last week going out in person. So that was weird. So when I was young, dudes in their 20s didn't hit on older women. You know what I mean? So I don't know what it is where nowadays young guys, they like older women, which is very different. I mean, did you guys hit on older chicks when you're in your early 20s? I don't think we did that then.
That's on you, Mark.
Not at all.
Did you hit on older chicks, Mark?
No, I was always the younger women.
Yeah. So anyway, so that I don't get the DMs like she does, but she says that's why she doesn't.
All right. Well, I'll try to get her on. I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be fun with the put the two of you on.
And bring Ray back too. We need
Oh,
Ray.
Ray, you're requested back. See, Ray had so much hesitation about doing these things too. Even going to the ORAD event, he had so much hesitation.
Really?
He said, yeah.
No,
But now I'm
good.
getting him out of his shell.
Oh, that you did the world a service with that, Mark, because Ray is awesome. I want to hear about Mark's 10 years of commission sales, because that takes balls of steel. I mean, most people could not handle doing that at all. Like, what industry were you in?
I was in the cell phone industry. I worked for Sprint, Verizon, Team. I was those sleazy cell phone guys that wouldn't bug the shit out of it.
At the
You know
mall?
what I'm saying? Oh yeah, I did the malls, the stores, all of it. But like, it was good, you know. Like at that time, those companies were really given great commissions. Things have changed, obviously, but I'm not in the industry anymore.
I didn't realize that those guys were on commission
Mm-hmm.
whenever you'd see them, because I do remember seeing them.
Well, you should have gotten some kind of inkling, because they're so aggressive. You know what I'm saying? Like they
Good
wouldn't
point.
they wouldn't stop bothering you.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, but yep.
Yeah, we'll get everyone back on again, or well, I'll be gone for a while. So
Where are you going?
I am taking a last-minute trip to North Carolina Monday night. So I'll be in North Carolina for a few weeks. I'm waiting on an MRI for my shoulder, so I figure since I'm waiting on that, I'm gonna take my son to go see his grandparents in North Carolina.
Nice.
Oh, that'll be so nice. That'll be great.
Yeah, so meet up with some of the ORAT people on that side. Try to see if we can plan something. But yeah, it'll be fun. Yeah, and then when I get back, we'll get you folks back on and yeah, have some more fun, have some more laughs, and then from the beginning, Jen can just be totally unfiltered and
well, there's no money in that. Like, that's a negative ROI. So that's why it's like, I'm here to usually make money, but at some point, upon request, occasionally I'll take a little hit in my pocketbook and be my real self.
But can I tell you, Jennifer, just from just like hearing you open up just a little bit, like some people could get scared away, but like obviously you come in a little profesh in the beginning, and then you let your hair down a little bit, and then you get the real. And for me, as an investor, that's who I want to see. I want to see somebody who's a mixture of professional. I know what you're doing, but also that you're a real person, right? Because there's so many fake
so much fake
out. You know what I'm saying? And I think showing a little bit of real doesn't hurt. You know what I'm saying?
And honestly, if you can't handle me, you can't handle life. People are like, oh, I can't handle that. Well, then guess what, my man? You can't handle life. Oh, you can't handle me? Guess what? You sure as hell can't handle running a business, because you're going to get your ass kicked every day. And I'm here to help you. I didn't get this good by being soft. I got this good by being really, really tough. I mean, and same with you guys. I know. I mean, I could never be a firefighter. I really couldn't.
You hear that, people listening still yet? See how hard my job is?
It is.
I get so much shit from them.
I mean, I don't think they could do what you do, Mark, for one day. I know I could. That is.
Well, you know what? I think you could from a mindset standpoint, though. And I know you're physically strong, but I mean, I think just from a mindset standpoint, you have what it takes to be successful at it or be able to do it.
I appreciate that. And you don't see a lot of female firefighters. I always hear that. I think it's having to live in the firehouse is a little complicated.
It is, but I think from your personality, I think you'd be just fine.
I would think the main thing you'd have to do to survive is just not fraternize. Like zero talk, like no exceptions, or then it's all over. And that's what I notice makes women, if the ones who do last, first off, they're usually lesbians. Okay, we all know that. And so that helps. But there are some straight ones. They're more mythical creatures than they are a reality. But I feel like the straight ones that do make it in the firehouses, you just cannot touch any dude there, no matter how much rapport you build or how hot they are. It's like drugs. I mean, just say no to fraternizing if you're a straight female and living in the firehouse.
Yeah, no comment. No, but yeah, that is probably definitely one of the challenges. You know, I mean, like you're saying, to you're living with these people, you're building this tight relationship. So
Very
it's
tight.
yeah. So
How can that
yeah.
not turn into something else? I mean, you'd have to really have strong values and really keep yourself focused on your goals and your career. And same thing going to these conventions too. Like you have to stay focused on your goals. In general, just don't fraternize in your industry. It's a killer. It's totally not worth it. Keep business and personal completely separate as much as possible is what I've learned.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's great final words, and we'll wrap things up there. And yeah, so everyone have a great weekend. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll get everyone back on again.